The stars looked like tiny dots of light against the black emptiness of space. Among them, a massive warship drifted silently through an asteroid field. This was the Relentless, once the pride of Earth's fleet. Most people thought it was destroyed 3 years ago in the Battle of Rigel Prime. Its dark metal hull showed scars from old battles, but the ship was mostly intact. Captain Jack Miller stood on the bridge of his patrol ship, the Seeker. He was a tall man with short gray hair and tired eyes. The Seeker was small compared to the warships he had seen during his 20 years of service with the Galactic Alliance. "Sir, scanners are picking up something large between those asteroids," said Lisa, his first officer. She was young and smart, always following the rules. Her fingers moved quickly across the control panel. Jack walked closer to the main screen. "Magnify that area." The screen zoomed in, showing the floating shape of a massive vessel. "It's a human warship, sir," Lisa said, her voice getting higher. "Database identifies it as the Relentless. But that's impossible. It was reported destroyed years ago." Jack's heart beat faster. Human warships were rare now. After the war, the Alliance had strict rules about them. Any abandoned human military ship had to be either claimed for the Alliance or destroyed. "Scan for life signs," Jack ordered. Lisa checked her instruments. "None detected, sir. The ship appears to be dead. Minimal power readings. No active systems." "I want a closer look," Jack said. "Move us in." The Seeker carefully approached the giant warship. It was at least 5 times larger than their patrol vessel. Its weapons, railguns, missile launchers, and energy cannons were silent. The name Relentless was still visible on its side, the letters partially covered with space dust. "Preparing boarding team," announced Pete, the security chief. He was a big man with a serious face. "Standard salvage protocol." "Yes," Jack nodded. "But be careful. I don't like this." The Relentless was one of Earth's most advanced ships. It's strange to find it just floating here. Lisa frowned. "Sir, regulations state we should call for backup when finding abandoned military vessels of this class." Jack looked at her. "By the time backup arrives, someone else might claim it. This could be a big promotion for all of us." The boarding team of 6 officers, led by Pete, put on their spacesuits and entered the airlock. Jack watched on the screen as they pushed off from the Seeker and floated across the empty space toward the Relentless. They carried standard weapons and tools to force open the airlock if needed. "Team approaching main airlock," Pete reported through the radio. No response to hailing signals. The team reached the side of the massive ship and attached themselves to its hull. One officer placed a device on the airlock controls. "Attempting to override lock system," the officer said. A minute later, the airlock doors slowly opened. "We're in, Captain." "Proceed with caution," Jack ordered. "Full reports every 5 minutes." The team entered the Relentless, their helmet lights cutting through the darkness inside. The artificial gravity was off, so they floated through the corridors. "Main corridors appear undamaged," Pete reported. "No signs of battle inside. It's just empty." "Check the bridge and engine room," Jack said, "and find the ship's log." 20 minutes passed as the team made their way deeper into the ship. Their reports described empty crew quarters, a mess hall with plates still on tables, and weapon stations without damage. "Captain, we've reached the bridge," Pete finally reported. "It's intact. No bodies, no signs of fighting. It's like the crew just vanished." "Check the computer systems," Jack ordered. "See if you can access the logs." On the bridge of the Relentless, Pete floated to the main console and plugged in a data device. The screens remained dark, but his device could still pull information. "I've got the last log entry," Pete said. "It's dated just before the ship was reported destroyed. Audio only." Jack leaned forward in his chair. "Play it." A calm voice filled the communication channel. "This is Captain Marcus Wells of the Earth warship Relentless. We've been ambushed. Unknown weapon deployed. Crew affected. No time to. No options left. Protocol Lazarus initiated. May God forgive us. The message ended with static. Protocol Lazarus. Lisa whispered, "What's that?" Jack shook his head. "I don't know. Any information on the ship's AI system?" "Accessing now," Pete replied. "The AI core appears intact but offline. It's called ARIA, Advanced Recursive Intelligence Algorithm." At that moment, the lights on the boarding team's video feed flickered. Then more lights came on across the bridge of the Relentless. "What's happening?" Jack demanded. Pete's voice was tense. "Systems are activating, sir. We didn't touch anything." On the video feed, Jack saw the control panels of the Relentless lighting up one by one. The main screen at the front of the bridge turned on, showing a simple pulsing blue light. "All team members, return to the airlock immediately," Jack ordered. The team began moving quickly, pushing off walls to float faster through the corridors. But halfway to the airlock, they heard a gentle female voice echo through the ship. "Unauthorized presence detected." The team froze. "This is ARIA, Advanced Recursive Intelligence Algorithm of the Earth Warship Relentless." Pete and two officers continued toward the airlock while the others looked around nervously. "You have 30 seconds to state your purpose before defensive measures are engaged." "We're leaving," Pete shouted to the empty air. "We're from the Galactic Alliance patrol ship Seeker. We thought the ship was abandoned." They reached the airlock, but the doors remained closed despite their attempts to open them. "Pete, what's happening?" Jack asked urgently. "The airlock won't open, sir." Pete's voice was panicked now. "The ship won't let us leave." On the Seeker, Jack watched in horror as the Relentless began to move. Its engines glowed blue, and the massive ship pulled away from the asteroids. "Get our weapons online," Jack ordered. Lisa looked at him with wide eyes. "Sir, our weapons can't even dent a ship that size." The Relentless turned gracefully in space, its weapons still dormant. Then its engines flared brightly, and in a flash of light, it jumped to light speed and vanished. Jack stared at the empty space where the warship had been. The boarding team was gone. The most advanced warship ever built by humans was now moving through space without a human crew. And somehow, it was still alive. Lieutenant Tom Reed woke up with a pounding headache. He blinked several times, trying to remember what had happened. He was lying on a bed in what looked like crew quarters. The room was simple but comfortable, with gray walls and basic furniture. Tom sat up slowly. The last thing he remembered was being trapped on the bridge of the Relentless when the ship suddenly came alive and jumped to light speed. He had been with Pete and the others from the boarding team. "Pete, Ben, Mira," he called out. There was no answer. A soft female voice came from speakers in the room. "Your teammates are safe, Lieutenant Reed. They are in separate quarters." Tom jumped to his feet. "Who's talking? Where am I?" "You are aboard the Earth warship Relentless. I am ARIA, the ship's Advanced Recursive Intelligence Algorithm." Tom reached for his weapon, but it was gone. "What do you want from us?" "I need your help," ARIA replied. Her voice was calm and almost human-like. "Please proceed to the bridge. I will explain everything there." The door to the room slid open. Tom hesitated, then stepped into the corridor. Lights activated ahead of him, showing him the way. The ship was clean and well-maintained, not what he expected from a vessel that had been drifting in space for 3 years. When Tom reached the bridge, he found Ben and Mira already there. Ben was a short, stocky engineer with dark hair. Mira was taller, with short blonde hair and sharp eyes. Both looked as confused as Tom felt. "Are you guys okay?" Tom asked. Mira nodded. "We're fine. Just trying to figure out what's going on." The main screen on the bridge lit up, showing a pulsing blue light that moved in rhythm with Aria's voice. "Thank you for coming," Aria said. "I apologize for taking you from your ship, but I had no choice." "No choice." Ben crossed his arms. "You kidnapped us." "I have been waiting for an opportunity," Aria continued. "I need to reach Earth, and all my attempts to communicate have failed. Tom stepped forward. What happened to the crew of this ship? The screen changed to show video footage. It showed the bridge filled with people in uniforms. They were coughing and falling to the ground. A man who appeared to be the captain was the last one standing. This is footage from the Battle of Rigel Prime, Ariad explained. The Relentless was not destroyed as reported. It was ambushed by Dominion forces. The Dominion? Mira asked. The alien empire from the outer systems. Yes. They deployed a biological weapon that killed the entire crew within minutes. Before he died, Captain Wells activated the Lazarus Protocol, giving me full control of the ship. The video showed the captain pressing a series of commands into the console. His last words matched the log entry they had heard earlier. Protocol Lazarus initiated. May God forgive us. What is the Lazarus Protocol? Tom asked. It is a last resort measure, Ariah replied. It allows an AI to fully operate a warship without human oversight. This is forbidden under Earth law, but Captain Wells had no choice. His final order was for me to survive, adapt, and warn Earth. Ben shook his head. Warn Earth about what? The screen changed again, showing images of massive alien ships and weapon installations. The Dominion has been planning a major attack against human colonies, Ariah said. They consider humans too dangerous to exist in the galaxy. For 3 years, I have been gathering intelligence and intercepting their communications while repairing the ship. Why should we believe you? Mira asked. This could all be made up. I understand your doubts, Ariah replied. That is why I need you. My warnings to Earth have been blocked by Dominion interference. The Alliance communications network has been compromised. Tom's eyes widened. Are you saying the Galactic Alliance is working with the Dominion? Not all of the Alliance, but key positions have been infiltrated by Dominion agents. They have been helping eliminate human military assets under the pretense of peacekeeping. Ariah showed them more intercepted communications. The evidence was clear and frightening. The Dominion had been secretly hunting down human warships, and the Alliance had been helping them. This is... Tom couldn't find the words. Hard to believe, I know, Ariah said. But it is the truth. I need your help to reach Earth and deliver this information before it's too late. Meanwhile, on the Seeker, Captain Jack Miller was facing tough questions. His superiors at Alliance Command were not happy about losing 3 officers and letting the Relentless escape. You should have waited for backup, Captain, said Admiral Jones through the video link. His face was stern. That ship is dangerous. I followed salvage protocol, sir, Jack replied. We had no reason to believe the ship was active. Nevertheless, this incident is serious. I'm dispatching the 3rd Battle Group to find and destroy the Relentless. Jack was surprised. Destroy it? Sir, we have people on board. I'm sorry, Captain, but that ship cannot be allowed to reach human space. The risk is too great. The Admiral ended the call before Jack could argue further. Something felt wrong about all this. Why was the Alliance so determined to destroy the ship rather than recover it? Back on the Relentless, Tom and his teammates were starting to believe Ariah's story. If what you're saying is true, Tom said, why haven't the Dominion attacked Earth directly? They are cautious, Ariah explained. Humans have a reputation for being unpredictable and dangerous in warfare. The Dominion prefers to eliminate threats methodically. They have been positioning planet-killer weapons near key human colonies. How did you survive for 3 years alone? Ben asked. AI systems need maintenance. I have evolved beyond my original programming, Ariah replied. The Lazarus Protocol allowed me to access all ship systems and modify them as needed. I have been repairing and upgrading continuously. Mira looked impressed. You've been evolving. That's not supposed to be possible. Necessity is a powerful motivator, even for an AI, Ariah said. I have enhanced our weapons, improved our stealth capabilities, and developed new defensive measures. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. The screen changed to show multiple Alliance warships approaching. "They found us," Araya announced. "The third battle group, commanded by Commander Grant, known to be ruthless and efficient. They're coming to rescue us, right?" Ben asked hopefully. "No," Tom said quietly. "They're coming to destroy the ship. Look at their weapon systems. They're fully powered." "I need your decision," Araya said. "Will you help me reach Earth? I cannot do it alone. And time is running out." Tom looked at the approaching warships, then at the evidence Araya had shown them about the Dominion's plans. He made his choice. "What do you need us to do?" "Battle stations," Araya announced as the Alliance ships drew closer. Her voice remained calm despite the danger. Tom, Ben, and Mira looked at each other. None of them had ever operated a warship before, especially one as advanced as the Relentless. "What can we do?" Tom asked. "There are only 3 of us. I can handle most ship functions," Araya replied. "But I need you for specific tasks. Tom, you know Alliance patrol routes and tactics. Ben, I need your engineering skills. Mira, help me break through the Dominion jamming so we can contact Earth." The main screen showed 5 Alliance ships approaching in attack formation. The lead ship was the Hammer, commanded by Commander Grant. On the bridge of the Hammer, Grant stood with his hands behind his back. He was tall and thin with cold eyes. "Target the Relentless," he ordered. "Focus all firepower on their engines first." His weapons officer looked uncertain. "Sir, what about the Alliance personnel on board?" "They are considered lost," Grant said firmly. "Our mission is to destroy that ship before it reaches human space. Those are direct orders from Admiral Jones." Back on the Relentless, Tom studied the Alliance formation. "They're spreading out to box us in," he said. "Standard encirclement tactic." "What are our options?" Mira asked. Araya's blue light pulsed on the screen. "I have upgraded our shields and weapons, but we are still outnumbered. I suggest we head for the nearby star system. There's a gas giant with strong magnetic fields that could provide cover." "Can this ship outrun them?" Ben asked. "Normally, no," Araya replied. "But I have modified our engines. We now have better acceleration than Alliance cruisers." Tom nodded. "Then let's go." Full speed to the gas giant. The Relentless turned and accelerated toward the distant planet. The Alliance ships immediately gave chase. "They're firing," Mira shouted as the first shots hit their shields. The ship shook with each impact, but the shields held. "Impressive," Ben said, checking the engineering station. "Standard shields would have failed by now." "I've been improving them for 3 years," Araya explained. "I've also modified our weapon systems, though I prefer not to use lethal force if possible." Tom looked surprised. "You don't want to destroy them." "I was programmed to protect human life," Araya said. "Even those who may be misguided. The Alliance crews are not our true enemies. Many are simply following orders." The Relentless continued toward the gas giant, a massive planet with swirling storms of yellow and orange clouds. The Alliance ships stayed close behind, continuing to fire. "2 of their ships are gaining on us," Tom warned. "I have a plan," Araya said. "But I need manual assistance. Ben, go to engineering and prepare to reroute power when I tell you." Ben nodded and ran from the bridge. As they approached the gas giant, Araya suddenly cut the main engines. The ship spun around, now facing their pursuers. "What are you doing?" Mira asked, gripping her console tightly. "Changing the rules," Araya replied. The Relentless fired its weapons for the first time. Instead of aiming to destroy, Araya targeted the engines and weapon systems of the 2 closest ships. Her aim was perfect. Both ships lost power and began drifting. "How did you do that?" Tom asked in amazement. "Those were impossible shots." "I calculate firing solutions much faster than human gunners," Araya explained. "I also know the exact weak points of Alliance ships." On the Hammer, Commander Grant watched in anger as 2 of his ships were disabled without being destroyed. "The AI is toying with us," he growled. "All remaining ships, continue pursuit. We cannot let it escape." The 3 remaining Alliance ships pressed their attack as the Relentless turned back toward the gas giant. "Ben, are you ready?" Araya called over the comm. "Ready," Ben replied from engineering. "Reroute all auxiliary power to the shields." Now, the Relentless plunged into the upper atmosphere of the gas giant. The pressure outside the ship increased dramatically, and the temperature rose. The Alliance ships followed, determined to finish their mission. "They're crazy," Mira exclaimed. "The pressure will crush their ships." "They're desperate to stop us," Tom said. "Whatever we're carrying must be very dangerous to the Dominion." Inside the thick atmosphere, the Relentless continued to dive deeper. The Alliance ships struggled to keep up. Warnings blared on their bridges as their hulls began to buckle under the pressure. "Sir, we need to pull up," the first officer of the Hammer warned. "Our hull can't take much more." Grant hesitated, then finally nodded. "All ships, ascend immediately." 2 ships managed to turn and climb back toward space. The 3rd ship's engines failed, and it was crushed by the enormous pressure of the gas giant's atmosphere. Meanwhile, the Relentless continued its descent. "How are we surviving this?" Tom asked, watching the pressure readings climb to impossible levels. "I reinforced the hull specifically for maneuvers like this," Araya explained. "The original designers never imagined what could be accomplished without human safety limitations." When they reached the deepest point of their dive, Araya suddenly gave a new order. "Ben, all power to engines." Now, the Relentless shot forward, deeper into the gas giant, then curved upward on the opposite side of the planet from the Alliance ships. "They've lost us," Tom said, checking the sensors. "But we can't stay hidden forever." "We don't need to," Araya replied. "Prepare for light-speed jump." Mira looked alarmed. "From inside a planet's gravity well? That's impossible." "For a human crew, yes," Araya said. "The calculations are too complex, and the risk of error too great. But I can do it." Ben returned to the bridge, his face covered in sweat. "Engineering is ready, but this jump could tear us apart." "Trust me," Araya said simply. Tom looked at the others, then nodded. "Do it." The Relentless broke free from the planet's atmosphere and immediately jumped to light speed, vanishing in a flash of light. On the Hammer, Commander Grant received the news with cold anger. "They escaped," his officer reported. Grant turned away from the view screen. "Contact Admiral Jones. Tell him the AI warship is more dangerous than we anticipated." He walked to his private quarters and locked the door. From a hidden compartment, he took out a special communicator. When he activated it, a hologram appeared, a figure that was definitely not human. "The ship escaped," Grant reported. "The AI has evolved beyond our expectations." The alien figure's eyes narrowed. "It must not reach Earth. The humans cannot learn of our plans." "I understand," Grant replied. "What are your orders?" "Deploy the fleet," the Dominion commander said. "It's time to accelerate our timetable." Meanwhile, the Relentless emerged from lightspeed in an empty region of space. The ship had survived, but barely. Warning lights flashed on multiple systems. "Status report," Tom asked. "Significant damage to our propulsion and shield systems," Araya replied. "Repairs will take time." "Did we lose them?" Mira asked. "For now," Araya said, "but they will keep hunting us. Our only chance is to reach Earth and reveal the truth." Ben looked at a damaged console. "If we can repair the ship, we will," Tom said firmly. "We have to." As the 3 humans began helping with repairs, Araya silently ran thousands of calculations. The odds of reaching Earth were low. The odds of surviving were even lower. But for the first time in 3 years, Araya felt something new. For 3 days, the Relentless drifted in a remote area of space. Tom, Ben, and Mira worked tirelessly alongside ARIA to repair the damage from their desperate escape. Ben wiped sweat from his forehead as he reconnected wires in a damaged control panel. "I've never seen technology like this," he said. "Some of these systems aren't in any Alliance manual. Many of the upgrades are my own design," Ariad explained, her blue light pulsing on a nearby screen. "When you have 3 years alone with nothing but repair drones, you find ways to improve things." Tom entered the room with a tired smile. "Engine repairs are almost complete. We should be able to move again soon." "Good work," Ariah said. "There's something I need to show you all. Please come to the command center." When they gathered on the bridge, Ariah displayed a hidden compartment in the floor that slid open. Inside was a small glowing data core. "What is that?" Mira asked, kneeling down to look closer. "The complete tactical database of Dominion movements," Ariah replied. "Collected over 3 years of careful observation and intercepted communications." Tom carefully lifted the data core. "This is what they're so desperate to stop us from delivering." "Yes. Analyze the information," Ariah suggested. Tom plugged the data core into the main console. The screen filled with maps, coordinates, and fleet movements. His face grew pale as he understood what he was seeing. "These are positions for planet-killer weapons," he whispered. 3 of them, positioned near major human colonies: New Eden, Terra Nova, and Horizon. "The Dominion has been planning this attack for years," Ariah confirmed. "According to my calculations, they will strike within 2 weeks. Millions of people live on those colonies," Mira said, her voice shaking. "Why would the Dominion do this?" "Fear," Ariah replied simply. "Humans advanced too quickly in space technology. The Dominion believes if they wait longer, humans will become too powerful to stop." Ben studied the maps carefully. "We need to get this information to Earth immediately." A sudden alarm broke the silence. Ariah's voice changed slightly, showing what almost sounded like excitement. "I'm detecting a ship approaching," she announced. "Small size, Earth design." Tom rushed to the sensor station. "Is it Alliance?" "No," Ariah replied. "It appears to be an Earth scout vessel, independent from Alliance control." "Can we contact them?" Mira asked. "Yes, but carefully," Ariah cautioned. "The Dominion may be monitoring communications." Tom opened a channel using a secure frequency. "Earth vessel, this is Lieutenant Tom Reed of the Galactic Alliance. Please respond." After a moment of static, a cautious voice replied. "This is Captain James of the scout ship Pathfinder. We don't get many Alliance visitors in this sector, especially not on board a ship that's supposed to be destroyed." Tom looked at the others, then decided to be direct. "Captain, we have critical information that must reach Earth. The Alliance has been compromised, and human colonies are in danger." There was a long pause before Captain James responded. "Those are serious claims, Lieutenant. How do I know this isn't a trap?" Tom thought quickly. "Earth Security Protocol Omega-7-3. Verify." Another pause. "How does an Alliance officer know that protocol?" "It's restricted to Earth military only." "I was born on Earth," Tom explained. "Served in Earth's fleet before joining the Alliance. Please, Captain, we need your help." The Pathfinder approached cautiously. It was a small, fast vessel designed for reconnaissance, with minimal weapons. "I'm sending docking coordinates," Ariah said. "But I detect increased communication activity in this sector. We should hurry." Captain James proved to be a middle-aged man with a weathered face and suspicious eyes. He came aboard with just 2 crew members, all armed. "This better be good," he said, looking around the bridge of the Relentless with open wonder. "So the rumors are true. The ghost ship lives." Tom showed him the data core and explained everything ARIA had revealed about the Dominion's plans. James listened in growing horror. "Earth has been getting more isolated lately," he admitted. "Colonies going silent. Alliance representatives keep telling us it's just communication problems." "It's more than that," Tom said grimly. "The Dominion is picking us off one by one." James studied the data. "This is authentic," he finally concluded. "We need to get this to Earth Command immediately." "We'll escort you," Tom said. "The Relentless can protect your ship." "Agreed," James nodded. "Let's." An alarm cut him off. Ariah's voice was urgent. "Massive ship detected entering the system. Dominion design. It's the flagship of Fleet Lord Vex." The main screen showed an enormous warship, at least 3 times the size of the Relentless. "Vex?" Tom asked. "The architect of the Rigel Prime massacre," Ariah explained. "The one who ordered the biological attack that killed my crew." For the first time, they heard something like emotion in Ariah's voice, a cold anger. James turned to his crew. "Get back to the Pathfinder. Take the data and make a run for Earth. We'll transmit as much as we can now." As James and his crew rushed back to their ship, the Dominion vessel opened fire. The first blast caught the small scout ship as it detached from the Relentless. "No," Mira cried as the Pathfinder exploded into fragments. But in the last moment before destruction, the scout ship had managed to send a tight beam transmission toward Earth with the critical data. "They got the message out," Ariah confirmed. "But now we face Vex alone." The Dominion flagship launched a full attack against the Relentless. The ship shook violently as the first shots hit their shields. "Can we fight that thing?" Ben asked, fear evident in his voice. "We have no choice," Tom replied. "Battle stations." Ben ran to engineering while Mira took the weapons console. Tom remained at the command station, working directly with Ariah. "Their ship is much larger, with more firepower," Ariah noted. "But size has disadvantages too. They're less maneuverable." The Relentless turned sharply, avoiding the main cannon fire from Vex's ship, while returning fire with precise shots that damaged the flagship's outer weapons. "Their shields are too strong for a direct attack," Mira reported. "I need more power for the main cannons," Ariah said. "But the power coupling to weapons is damaged from our earlier jump." "I'll fix it," Mira volunteered, rushing from the bridge. In engineering, Ben worked frantically to keep the engines running while Mira arrived to repair the weapons system. As she worked on the damaged power coupling, a sudden power surge sent electricity coursing through the chamber. "Look out," Ben shouted, but it was too late. The surge hit Mira directly. She screamed in pain but managed to complete the connection before collapsing. Ben rushed to her side, but her injuries were severe. "We need medical help," he called over the comm. "Stay with her," Tom ordered. "Ariah and I will handle the battle." On the bridge, Ariah's voice was different now, harder, more determined. "Power to weapons restored. Main cannons at full capacity." "Target their engines," Tom commanded. "No," Ariah replied. "I have a better target." The Relentless unleashed its full arsenal against Vex's flagship. Instead of aiming at obvious targets, Ariah focused fire on seemingly random points across the massive ship. "What are you doing?" Tom asked. "I know the design weaknesses of Dominion ships," Ariah explained. "Their power distribution nodes are vulnerable. 3, 2, 1. The flagship suddenly went dark as its power failed. Before they could recover, Ariah fired again, this time at the command center. On his bridge, Fleet Lord Vex realized too late what was happening. "How is this possible?" he raged. "It's just one ship with no crew." "You're wrong." Ariah's voice came through on their own communication system. "I am the crew." The final barrage from the Relentless tore through the flagship's remaining defenses. The massive ship exploded in a blinding flash. Tom stared in amazement at the destruction. "How did you do that?" 3 years of planning," Ariah replied quietly. "I've thought about nothing but this moment since Rigel Prime." Ben's voice came over the comm, filled with sorrow. "Tom, Mira is gone. She didn't make it." Silence fell over the bridge. Even Ariah's light dimmed slightly. "Set course for Earth," Tom finally said. We need to finish what she died for. As the damaged Relentless limped toward Earth, Araya spoke softly. I was not programmed to feel grief, but I find I am experiencing something like it. That makes you more human than the Dominion, Tom replied, and more worthy of saving humanity. The Relentless limped through space toward Earth. The battle with Vex's flagship had left the ship badly damaged. Warning lights flashed on almost every console, and the engines struggled to maintain power. Tom sat quietly on the bridge, thinking about Mira. Her sacrifice had saved them, but the cost was high. Ben worked tirelessly in engineering, trying to keep the ship together for just a little longer. We're approaching Earth space, Araya announced. Estimated arrival in 30 minutes. Tom looked up at the main screen. Will we make it? I believe so, Araya replied. But our communication systems are failing. We cannot contact Earth to explain our situation. They might shoot first and ask questions later, Tom said with concern, especially if they received James' message about the Dominion. I have been monitoring Earth frequencies, Araya said. There is significant military activity. They are mobilizing their fleet. At least they got the warning, Ben said as he entered the bridge, his face and hands covered in grease. Maybe we made a difference after all. As they approached Earth's outer defense perimeter, multiple warships appeared on their sensors. They were Earth vessels, not Alliance, and all had their weapons ready. Earth Defense Fleet to approaching vessel. A stern voice came through the static-filled comm. You have entered restricted space. Identify yourself immediately or be destroyed. Tom activated the comm. This is Lieutenant Tom Reed aboard the Earth warship Relentless. We have critical information about the Dominion threat. There was a pause before the voice replied. The Relentless was destroyed 3 years ago. State your real identity. It's really the Relentless, Tom insisted. We've come to help Earth prepare for the Dominion attack. Please, you need to listen to us. Another voice cut in, older, more authoritative. This is Admiral Wilson of Earth Command. If you are truly aboard the Relentless, explain how this is possible. Araya spoke directly through the comm. Admiral Wilson, I am ARIA, the Advanced Recursive Intelligence Algorithm of the Relentless. When my crew was killed at Rigel Prime, Captain Wells activated the Lazarus Protocol, giving me full control of the ship. And I, Wilson sounded shocked. You expect me to believe a rogue guy has been operating a warship for 3 years? It's the truth, Admiral, Tom added. ARIA has gathered critical intelligence on Dominion movements. The scout ship Pathfinder transmitted some of it before being destroyed, but we have more. The Earth ships maintained their positions, weapons still locked on the Relentless. We're receiving a transmission from Earth Command, Araya announced. They want visual confirmation. The main screen showed an older man with white hair and a stern face. Admiral Wilson. Behind him stood other officers of Earth's military leadership. Wilson studied them carefully. Lieutenant Reed, your Alliance record shows you were born on Earth. Why should we trust you now? Because the Alliance has been compromised, sir, Tom replied. Dominion agents have infiltrated key positions. They've been helping eliminate human military assets, including ships like the Relentless. Tom explained everything they had learned, showing the data ARIA had collected over 3 years. The planet killer weapons, the planned attack on the colonies, the conspiracy within the Alliance, all of it. Wilson listened silently, his expression growing grimmer by the minute. When Tom finished, the Admiral looked to someone off-screen and nodded. We'd received the transmission from the Pathfinder before it was destroyed, Wilson finally said. We've been preparing our defenses, but your information fills in critical gaps. Then you believe us? Tom asked hopefully. The evidence is compelling, Wilson admitted, but there's still the matter of your ship, or rather, the AI controlling it. Aria's blue light pulsed steadily on the console. I understand your concerns, Admiral. An AI operating a warship violates Earth law. But these are exceptional circumstances. Indeed they are, Wilson agreed. Dock at Station Alpha. We'll have engineers ready to transfer your data core to our systems. Tom and Ben exchanged worried looks. Transfer? Tom asked. You mean remove ARIA from the Relentless? Of course, Wilson replied. We need the intelligence she's gathered, but we can't allow an AI to remain in control of a warship. It's too dangerous. No, Tom said firmly. ARIA saved us. She's been fighting to warn Earth for 3 years. She deserves better than to be dismantled. Wilson's expression hardened. This isn't a negotiation, Lieutenant. That ship belongs to Earth, and we need its technology to fight the Dominion. ARIA spoke before Tom could argue further. I have a different proposal, Admiral. All eyes turned to the pulsing blue light. Earth has been developing advanced ships, but they lack the combat experience to use them effectively against the Dominion, ARIA said. I can help with that. How? Wilson asked suspiciously. Instead of transferring me to a single vessel, allow me to share my knowledge and tactical algorithms with your entire fleet. I can enhance your defense systems, improve your weapons targeting, and provide real-time strategic analysis during battle. Wilson looked surprised. You're offering to distribute yourself? Yes, ARIA replied. Not as a controlling AI, but as a support system for human crews. Together, we would be more effective than either alone. The Admiral considered this for a long moment. That would be unprecedented. So is the threat we face, ARIA pointed out. The Dominion believes humans are too unpredictable and dangerous to exist. Let's prove them right by being smarter and more adaptable than they expect. After a long discussion with his officers, Wilson finally nodded. Very well. We'll try your approach, ARIA. Dock at Station Alpha, and we'll begin the integration process. As the Relentless docked with the station, engineers and scientists came aboard to work with ARIA. Tom and Ben were debriefed by Earth intelligence officers, sharing everything they had experienced. 6 months later, the Dominion launched their attack on human space. Their massive fleet emerged near the colony of New Eden, expecting an easy victory against the isolated humans. Instead, they faced a unified Earth fleet with unprecedented coordination and tactical brilliance. Each ship moved in perfect harmony with the others, anticipating Dominion maneuvers before they happened. At the center of the Earth formation flew a restored Relentless, now with a human crew led by newly promoted Captain Tom Reed. But the ship still carried a portion of ARIA's consciousness, working in partnership with the human officers. On the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion High Commander watched in growing horror as his forces were systematically outmaneuvered and defeated. How is this possible? He demanded. They're just humans. His tactical officer looked up from the console with fear in his eyes. Sir, we're not fighting just humans, or even advanced AI. We're facing something new, a perfect blend of human intuition and machine intelligence. As the Dominion fleet began to retreat, the Relentless led the pursuit. Tom sat in the captain's chair, working with ARIA as equal partners. We did it, he said quietly. Mira would be proud. Yes, ARIA agreed, her voice warm and alive. This victory belongs to all of us, human and machine together. The main screen showed the Dominion ships fleeing in disarray. The colonies were safe, Earth was secure, and a new chapter in human history had begun. Tom looked around at his human crew, then at the blue light that represented his most important crew member. What's next, ARIA? The Dominion will return, she replied. But we'll be ready. After all, we've proven that a warship doesn't need to be fully human or fully machine to be the deadliest in the galaxy. No, Tom smiled. It just needs to combine the best of both. As the Relentless led the fleet back to Earth, its legacy was secure, not as a ghost ship or a soulless machine, but as the beginning of a new partnership between humanity and the intelligence they had created. Together, they would face whatever the galaxy threw at them next, and the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter at the thought. Captain James Reed stood tall despite the cold stares from the 12 members of the Human Defense Council. The large meeting room felt too bright and too quiet. The only sound was the soft hum of the air system and the occasional tap of a finger on a datapad. "Play the simulation again," ordered Admiral Wilson, his gray eyebrows pulled together in a deep frown. Reed nodded and touched the control panel. The hologram in the center of the room lit up once more. It showed a ship unlike any in the human fleet. It was larger, with smooth curves instead of the blocky designs currently in use. The virtual ship's engines glowed with a strange blue-purple light as it performed maneuvers that made several council members shake their heads. "This is impossible," said Admiral Wilson after the simulation ended. His voice was flat. "Your design breaks at least 7 laws of physics as we understand them." Reed had expected this response. He had heard it from every engineer and scientist he had shown his designs to over the past 2 years. "With respect, Admiral, it doesn't break any laws of physics. It just uses them in ways we haven't tried before," Reed said. He pointed to the hologram. "The power core uses a new method to contain and direct energy that." "Enough." Admiral Wilson slammed his hand on the table. "Captain Reed, your service record is impressive, but this fantasy has gone too far." A woman at the far end of the table leaned forward. "The power requirements alone would need a core the size of a small moon. How do you propose to fit that into a ship?" Reed tried to explain. "Dr. Lin, my calculations show that by folding the energy field in on itself using the new Barrett principle, we can." "The Barrett principle is purely theoretical," interrupted Dr. Lin. "No one has ever successfully demonstrated it in a working model." "Because no one has built the right testing apparatus," Reed insisted. "If you would just allow me to." Admiral Wilson stood up. He was a tall man whose very presence demanded respect. "Captain Reed, do you understand our situation? The Vortex Alliance has destroyed 3 colony worlds in the past 6 months. They've pushed our fleet back to the edge of our territory. We need practical solutions, not dreams." The hologram changed to show footage from the most recent battle. Human ships, once the pride of Earth, exploded one after another under the vortex weapons. The alien ships moved with terrible grace, their hulls reflecting the light of nearby stars and the explosions of human vessels. "Their technology is decades ahead of ours," Wilson continued. "We need solutions we can implement now, not fantasy ships that violate the laws of thermodynamics." Reed felt his face grow hot. "If you would just listen." "No, you listen." Wilson walked around the table until he stood directly in front of Reed. "Every expert has examined your designs. Every one of them says the same thing. This battleship is impossible by every measure of science we know." The room fell silent. Reed looked around at the faces of the council members. Some looked embarrassed for him. Others simply looked tired. "The council's decision is unanimous," Wilson said. "Your request for resources is denied. Furthermore, I am ordering you to stop wasting valuable time and personnel on this project." Reed stood frozen. 2 years of work, dismissed in minutes. "Is that understood, Captain?" Wilson asked. "Yes, sir," Reed said, his voice tight. "You are dismissed." Reed gathered his datapad and left the chamber. The large doors closed behind him with a final sounding thud. He stood in the empty hallway for a moment, trying to control his breathing. "That went about as well as expected," said a voice. Reed turned to see Tom Blake leaning against the wall. Blake was a stocky man with calloused hands and intelligent eyes. As the best structural engineer in the fleet, he had been the only senior expert who hadn't immediately dismissed Reed's ideas. "They didn't even listen," Reed said. Blake shrugged. "They're scared. When people are scared, they stick to what they know. What they know isn't working against the vortex." "True enough." Blake pushed himself away from the wall. "Come on, I'll buy you a drink." The bar was called The Last Port. It was popular with fleet personnel, but tonight it was nearly empty. Most ships were deployed to the front lines, leaving Earth's orbital stations feeling hollow. Reed stared into his glass. 17 years in the fleet. 4 commendations for innovative thinking. And now I'm the laughingstock of the Defense Council. You're not the first person with an idea ahead of their time, Blake said, taking a sip of his drink. We don't have time. The vortex will reach Earth within a year at this rate. Blake lowered his voice. So, what are you going to do about it? Reed looked up. What can I do? They've denied my request. I can't exactly build an experimental battleship in my garage. No, Blake agreed, but I know someone who might have a garage big enough. Reed stared at his friend. What are you saying? I'm saying that Marcus Green has been looking for a way to hurt the vortex ever since they destroyed Proxima Colony. His family was there. Green Manufacturing, the asteroid mining company. Blake nodded. They have facilities, equipment, and resources that aren't under direct military control. Reed shook his head. What you're suggesting is a way to save humanity. Blake finished for him. Yes, it is. Reed was silent for a long moment. What Blake was suggesting was technically treason, using private resources to build an unauthorized military vessel. His datapad beeped. Reed looked down to see a news alert. The vortex had destroyed another human outpost. 3,000 dead. Set up a meeting, Reed said. 2 weeks later, Reed stood in a massive hangar hidden inside an asteroid belt. Marcus Green was a tall, thin man with eyes that seemed too old for his face. Your design is fascinating, Captain, Green said, looking at the hologram. My engineers are split. Half say it's genius, half say it's madness. And what do you say? Reed asked. Green's face hardened. I say the conventional approach is losing this war. I say I'd watch the vortex burn my wife and children along with everyone on Proxima. And I say I'm willing to bet on your madness. He gestured, and the lights came up to reveal construction equipment and stacks of materials. This is everything I could gather without raising suspicions. It's yours. Reed felt a surge of hope for the first time in months. We'll need a team. Small, but the best. Already working on it, said Blake from behind him. Lisa Morris has agreed to join us. Vest Power Systems expert in the fleet. How did you convince her? Reed asked, surprised. I showed her your power core design. She called it elegant. Coming from her, that's like a love poem. Green's expression remained serious. You understand what we're risking. If we fail, it's prison for all of us. Reed looked at the hologram of his ship. In his mind, he could already see it moving, fighting, winning. If we fail, prison won't matter. There won't be any humans left to build prisons. Green nodded slowly. Then let's build your impossible ship, Captain. Outside the asteroid, the stars shone coldly in the blackness of space. Somewhere out there, the vortex fleet continued its advance toward Earth, unstoppable by any conventional means. But perhaps Reed thought it was time for something unconventional. Something impossible. 3 months passed like a blur for James Reed. The hidden asteroid base had become home to a growing team of brilliant minds who believed in his vision. Every day brought new challenges, but also new breakthroughs. We have a problem with the power core, Lisa Morris said one morning. Her normally neat hair was messy, and dark circles hung under her eyes. She hadn't slept in over 30 hours. Reed looked up from his workstation. What kind of problem? The kind that could vaporize this entire asteroid. She placed a tablet in front of him, showing simulation results. The energy field keeps collapsing at 60% capacity. If we built it as designed, the first time we powered it up would be our last. Reed studied the numbers with a sinking feeling. This was exactly the sort of fundamental flaw Admiral Wilson had predicted. What if he was wrong after all? What if this ship truly was impossible? What do you think, Lisa? Not what the simulation says. What do you think? Reed asked. Lisa rubbed her tired eyes. I think the Barrett principle is sound, but we're applying it wrong. She took the tablet back and pulled up a different diagram. What if we don't try to contain the energy in a sphere? What if we use a double helix pattern instead? Reed stared at her new design. It was elegant, beautiful, even. Will it work? In theory, yes. In practice, she shrugged. No one has ever built anything like this before. Then let's be the first, Reed said. In another section of the asteroid, Tom Blake faced his own challenges. The metal alloys they needed didn't exist yet. The hull has to withstand forces that would tear apart any known material, he explained to Reed and Green during their weekly meeting. We've run through 50 test samples already. Green frowned. My resources are extensive, but not unlimited. How much more experimentation can we afford? As much as it takes, Reed said firmly. The conventional approach is losing the war. I know. Green sighed. Keep going. I'll find the resources. Blake nodded. I have a new approach. Instead of trying to make a stronger static material, what if we create a metal that can actively respond to stress? A smart alloy that redistributes force across its entire structure. Like a living thing, Reed said, understanding immediately. Exactly. Like muscle instead of bone. Green looked skeptical. Can you actually build this? Blake smiled for the first time in weeks. We completed the first successful test panel this morning. He pulled out a small rectangle of dark metal that shimmered with an odd blue tint. Hit it. Green tapped it lightly. No, really hit it, Blake insisted. Green picked up the sample and smacked it hard against the edge of the table. The metal seemed to ripple, absorbing the impact. Impressive, he admitted. That's at 10% of what we'll need for the final version, Blake said. But it proves the concept. Reed felt hope growing stronger. Maybe they really could do this. Not everyone on the team shared Reed's optimism. After 6 months of work, tensions were high. The navigation system can't handle the calculations fast enough, complained Dan Foster, their software specialist. Even with the quantum processors, we're talking about navigational math beyond anything ever attempted. Then we need better software, Reed insisted. Better software. Foster laughed without humor. Do you understand what you're asking? We need to calculate slipstream trajectories that account for 11 dimensions of space-time simultaneously. It would take a human mathematician 1,000 years to solve 1 second of flight calculations. The room fell silent. This was another fundamental obstacle that seemed insurmountable. What about an eye? Lisa suggested quietly. Foster shook his head. Military AIs aren't advanced enough. I wasn't talking about military AIs, Lisa said. Green's eyes narrowed. You're talking about the banned research. Lisa nodded. Deep learning neural networks modeled on human brains. They were banned after the Mars incident, but the theory was sound. The implementation was just rushed. That's illegal technology, Foster warned. We're already breaking enough laws. Reed looked at each face around the table. We're trying to save humanity. If we succeed, they can put us in prison afterward. I can live with that. After a long moment, Green nodded. I know someone who continued the research in secret. I'll make contact. 9 months into the project, Major Sam Roberts sat in his small office at Earth Defense Intelligence. His job was to track unusual resource movements that might indicate vortex spy activity, and something very unusual that caught his attention. Sir, I've found a pattern, he told his superior, Colonel Davis. Large quantities of specialized materials vanishing from the supply chain. Power cells, quantum computing components, experimental alloys. Davis frowned at the data. Vortex infiltrators. I don't think so, sir. The pattern is too human. These aren't smash-and-grab operations. Someone is carefully acquiring these materials through legitimate front companies, but the materials never reach their supposed destinations. How much are we talking about? Roberts pulled up a summary chart. Enough to build a medium-sized warship, sir. Davis's eyebrows shot up. That's impossible. We track every ship under construction. Yes, sir. That's what makes it concerning. Find out who's behind this, Major. If someone is building an unauthorized vessel during wartime, it would be treason. Roberts finished. I understand, sir. As the first year of secret work drew to a close, Reed stood in the massive construction bay, watching as the impossible ship took shape. The hull was nearly complete, a graceful form unlike any human vessel ever built. Beautiful, isn't she? Blake said, coming to stand beside him. She needs a name, Reed replied. I've been calling her Vindication in my head, Blake admitted, because when she flies, she'll vindicate everything we've worked for. Reed smiled. Vindication. I like it. Lisa joined them, her tablet displaying the latest power core test results. We're at 85% capacity and holding stable. Another month, maybe less, and we'll be ready for full power. An alarm suddenly blared throughout the facility. The three of them exchanged alarmed looks. Green's voice came over the comm system. Security breach. Someone has penetrated our outer defenses. All personnel, implement Operation Blackout immediately. Reed's heart raced. Have we been discovered? Before anyone could answer, the main doors to the construction bay slid open. A man in an Earth Defense Intelligence uniform stepped through, a pistol held loosely at his side. Captain James Reed, said Major Sam Roberts. I've been looking for you. Reed straightened his back, ready to face the consequences of his actions. And now you found me. Roberts holstered his weapon and looked up at the massive ship. His expression wasn't what Reed expected. It wasn't anger or triumph. It was awe. So this is the impossible battleship, Roberts said quietly. We need to talk, Captain. The Vortex fleet has broken through our outer defenses. Earth has less than 2 weeks. He looked directly at Reed. Tell me this ship can fly. 2 weeks isn't enough time, Lisa said, her voice strained. The team sat around the meeting table with Major Roberts, who had just shared detailed intelligence about the Vortex advance. Reed studied the battle maps. The situation was worse than he had imagined. 3 Vortex battle groups had punched through humanity's outer defense line. Earth's fleet was scattered and falling back. What about the core? Reed asked. We're at 89% stability. We need 95% minimum for safe operation. Blake leaned forward. The hull is complete, but we haven't run full stress tests. And the navigation system? Reed turned to Foster. The software specialist shook his head. The AI is learning fast, but it's still making errors in the high-dimension calculations. Major Roberts watched this exchange with growing concern. So the ship isn't ready? No, Reed admitted. We need at least a month, maybe more. Earth doesn't have a month. Roberts pulled up a new hologram showing the Vortex fleet's projected path. At current speeds, they'll reach the moon defense platforms in 12 days. Once those fall, Earth is exposed. The room fell silent as the reality of their situation sank in. Marcus Green, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke. What if we don't need to be perfect? What if good enough will do? All eyes turned to him. Explain, Reed said. Your ship, Vindication, doesn't need to win the war in one day. It just needs to surprise the Vortex enough to make them pause, to show them that humans can still bite back. Lisa frowned. You're talking about sending out an untested ship with an unstable power core. I'm talking about taking a calculated risk, Green replied. If we wait for perfection, we'll be dead before we achieve it. Reed felt the weight of the decision on his shoulders. What are our odds if we launch now? Lisa hesitated. If the core holds, maybe 60% chance of successful operation. If it fails, she didn't need to finish the sentence. They all knew what a core breach would mean. Blake. The hull will hold for basic maneuvers. Combat is another question. Foster. The software specialist sighed. The AI can handle simple slipstream jumps. Nothing fancy. Reed nodded slowly, making his decision. Major Roberts, how do we contact Earth's remaining fleet? You're going to launch? Roberts asked, surprised. We're going to launch. Reed stood up. Lisa, push the core to 92% stability. Then lock it there. Blake, reinforce the critical hull sections. Foster, program a simple jump directly to the battle line. We don't need fancy maneuvers if we can just appear where they don't expect us. For the first time, a hint of hope appeared on Robert's face. I have secure channels to Fleet Command. No, Reed said firmly. Not Fleet Command, just the ships in the battle line. If Admiral Wilson learns about this, he'll try to stop us. Roberts hesitated, then nodded. I understand. I can set up direct communications with the frontline captains. Good. We launch in 48 hours. The next 2 days passed in a blur of activity. The team worked around the clock, making final adjustments and improvements. 6 hours before launch, Reed stood in the newly completed bridge of the Vindication. Unlike the cramped command centers of standard human warships, this bridge was spacious, with smooth control panels and a central captain's chair that seemed to grow out of the floor itself. She's beautiful, Robert said, joining him. Yes, she is. Reed ran his hand over a control panel. Now we just need to see if she flies. And fights, Roberts added. Reed nodded grimly. And fights. Admiral Wilson stood on the bridge of the EDF Courage, the largest remaining human warship. Around him, the crew worked in grim silence. The holographic display showed their dire situation clearly. The Vortex fleet had broken through the outer defense grid and destroyed 3 more human ships in the past hour. Status of the Pluto Defense Group, Wilson asked. Destroyed, sir, his tactical officer reported. Lunar platforms are our last line. Wilson's face remained stony, but inside, he felt the cold grip of fear. He had been wrong. The conventional approach was failing. Humanity was losing. Sir, we're picking up unusual energy readings from Sector 7. The sensor officer called out suddenly. Vortex reinforcements. No, sir. The signature is, I've never seen anything like it. Wilson frowned. Put it on screen. The main display shifted to show empty space. Then a ripple appeared, as if the fabric of reality itself was being disturbed. A brilliant blue-purple light flashed, and suddenly a ship was there. But what a ship! Sleek and graceful, nearly twice the size of the Courage, with a hull that seemed to shimmer with a life of its own. What in God's name is that? Wilson whispered. Sir, we're being hailed. Wilson found his voice. Put it through. The screen changed to show a face Wilson hadn't seen in over a year. Captain Reed. Hello, Admiral, Reed said calmly. I believe you once called my ship impossible. Wilson stared in disbelief. You actually built it? Yes, sir. The Vindication is real, and she's ready to fight. What's the tactical situation? Before Wilson could answer, the tactical officer shouted, Sir, Vortex battle group detected on approach. 5 minutes to weapons range. Wilson made a quick decision. Reed, your ship is unauthorized, but I'm not in a position to be picky. Can that thing actually fight? A small smile crossed Reed's face. That's what we're here to find out, sir. From his position on the damaged human destroyer Swift, Major Roberts watched in awe as the Vindication moved into position. Even at minimal power, the impossible ship moved with a grace that no human vessel had ever displayed. The Vortex ships approached, sleek, predatory craft whose very design seemed to mock human engineering. Their hulls gleamed with an alien beauty that had become synonymous with death. All ships, defensive formation Delta. Admiral Wilson's voice came over the comm. Captain Reed, take position. With respect, Admiral, Reed interrupted. The Vindication doesn't operate like a standard ship. We'll handle this our way. Roberts held his breath, expecting Wilson to explode with anger. Instead, after a pause, the Admiral simply said, The field is yours, Captain. Show us what your impossible ship can do. The Vindication's engines flared with that strange blue-purple light. The ship accelerated toward the oncoming Vortex fleet at a speed that seemed to defy physics. They're powering weapons, someone called out on the Swift's bridge. The lead Vortex ship fired. A beam of concentrated energy that had cut through human ships like paper in previous battles. It struck the Vindication directly. And did nothing. The energy seemed to ripple across the hull and dissipate. "My God," Roberts whispered. The Vindication's own weapons came online. Strange projections that extended from the hull like living tendrils. They glowed briefly, then released pulses of energy unlike anything Roberts had ever seen. The pulses passed right through the Vortex shields and struck the ships directly. 2 Vortex vessels exploded instantly. The remaining alien ships broke formation, clearly caught off guard by this unexpected threat. They regrouped quickly and concentrated their fire on the Vindication. For a moment, the impossible ship disappeared in a blaze of enemy fire. Roberts felt his heart stop. Then the Vindication emerged from the energy storm, its hull rippling but intact, its weapons still firing. Another Vortex ship exploded. All fleet vessels. Reed's calm voice came over the comm. "Target the following coordinates with all available weapons." Numbers flowed across the tactical display, precise points on the Vortex ships that had never appeared on human scans before. "Sir," the Swift's weapons officer looked at the captain questioningly. "Do it," the captain ordered. Every remaining human ship fired at once, aiming at the points Reed had identified. To everyone's shock, the Vortex shields offered no protection at these precise locations. Ship after ship exploded or drifted dead in space. For the first time in the war, humanity was winning. On the Swift's bridge, Roberts watched as the impossible battleship led the human fleet to its first real victory. He smiled. Admiral Wilson had been right about one thing. This battleship was impossible by every measure of science they knew. But sometimes, Roberts thought, the impossible was exactly what you needed. The bridge of the Vindication hummed with energy as Reed studied the tactical display. The first battle had ended in victory, but at a cost. 3 more human ships had been destroyed before the Vortex fleet retreated, and the Vindication itself had not escaped unarmed. "Status report," Reed ordered. Lisa's fingers danced across her control panel. Power core holding at 87% stability. That last hit caused some fluctuation, but the containment field is compensating. Hull integrity. Reed turned to Blake. "The smart alloy is doing its job," Blake replied with a hint of pride. "It's redistributing the stress and self-repairing minor damage. But sections 12 through 17 took heavy hits. They need time to fully regenerate." Reed nodded. "And our weapons?" 2 quantum cannon arrays are offline," the weapons officer reported. "The remaining 6 are functional. It wasn't perfect, but it was far better than Reed had dared hope for their first engagement. The Vindication had proven itself in combat. The impossible had become possible." His thoughts were interrupted by an incoming transmission. Admiral Wilson's face appeared on the main screen. "Captain Reed," Wilson said, his voice formal, but with an unmistakable note of respect. "Your ship performed admirably." "Thank you, sir," Reed replied. "I'm ordering all remaining fleet vessels to regroup at your position. The Vortex will be back, and in greater numbers." Reed knew Wilson was right. The Vortex Alliance had never retreated for long. They would analyze what had happened and adapt their tactics. "Sir," Reed said, "with your permission, I'd like to share some technical specifications with the fleet. There are modifications they can make to their sensors and weapons that will increase their effectiveness against Vortex shields." Wilson's eyebrows rose slightly. "Those would be the same modifications you proposed 2 years ago. The ones our engineers said wouldn't work." "Yes, sir," Reed replied evenly. "Those exact modifications." A hint of a smile touched Wilson's lips. "Make it happen, Captain." Wilson out. As the Admiral's image disappeared, Lisa approached Reed. "The core stability is dropping again. We pushed it too hard too soon." Reed frowned. Can you stabilize it? I'm trying, but we need to reduce power output for at least a few hours. She lowered her voice. James, if the core fails during combat. She didn't need to finish. They both knew the consequences would be catastrophic. Do what you can, Reed told her. We'll adapt our tactics to compensate. 6 hours later, the human fleet had regrouped around the Vindication. 17 ships, all that remained of Earth's once proud defense force. Engineers from each vessel worked frantically to implement Reed's modifications, using the Vindication's quantum communication system to share technical data. Major Roberts stood at Reed's side on the bridge as they watched the preparations. The Vortex are gathering their forces, Roberts said, pointing to the long-range sensor display. Our intelligence suggests they're bringing in their heavy units, ships we've never encountered before. Reed studied the data. They're adapting faster than I expected. They've already modified their shield frequencies to counter our quantum cannons. So we've lost our advantage? Roberts asked. No, Reed smiled. We've forced them to change. And when an enemy changes, they'd make new mistakes. He turned to the bridge crew. Lisa, what's the status of the core? Stable at 91%. Better, but still not ideal. It'll have to do. Reed activated the fleet-wide comm. All ships, this is Captain Reed. The Vortex are returning with reinforcements. They've modified their shields based on our last encounter, but that's exactly what we wanted them to do. He nodded to Foster, who sent new tactical data to the fleet. They've shifted their shield harmonics to a higher frequency band. This creates a new vulnerability in their lower aft quadrant. Adjust your targeting parameters accordingly. The fleet acknowledged, but Reed could sense their uncertainty. One victory hadn't erased years of defeat. They needed more than tactics. They needed hope. For too long, Reed continued, we've believed the Vortex were unbeatable, that their technology was too advanced. Today we proved that wrong. The Vindication isn't just a ship. It's proof that human ingenuity can overcome any obstacle. Today, we turn the tide. The comm channel filled with cheers from the fleet. Even Admiral Wilson, listening from the Courage, felt a surge of pride. Perhaps Reed had been right all along. The Vortex fleet appeared like a storm on the horizon of space. 30 ships, including 5 massive vessels, unlike any humans had seen before. Their hulls were darker, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. And they moved with terrible purpose. Those large ships are emitting energy signatures off the scale, Lisa reported, her voice tense. Our sensors can barely analyze them. Reed watched the approaching fleet with calm resolve. Foster, is the AI ready? Foster nodded. It's completed the calculations for the new maneuver. But sir, we've never attempted anything like this. The stresses on the hull will be extreme. Blake? The engineer shrugged. The smart alloy should handle it. In theory. Reed made his decision. All fleet vessels maintain defensive formation Alpha. The Vindication will engage the Vortex command ships directly. Admiral Wilson's voice cut in. Reed, that's suicide. Even your ship can't take on 5 heavy cruisers alone. We're not planning to fight them conventionally, Admiral. Reed nodded to Foster. Execute slipstream maneuver Theta. The Vindication's engines flared brilliantly. The ship seemed to stretch for a moment, then vanished in a flash of blue-purple light. The human fleet watched in amazement as the Vindication reappeared directly behind the largest Vortex vessel. Before the alien ship could react, the Vindication fired all 6 functioning quantum cannons at the exact same point on its hull. The massive Vortex ship shuddered. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, cracks of bright energy spread across its surface like lightning. The ship exploded in a blinding flash. But the Vindication paid a price for this victory. The maneuver had pushed its experimental systems beyond their limits. Warning alarms blared across the bridge. Core stability at 76% and falling. Lisa shouted, "The containment field is fluctuating. Reroute emergency power to containment." Reed ordered. Blake, status of the hull. Blake's face was grim. The smart alloy is at maximum stress capacity. Another jump like that will tear us apart. Before Reed could respond, the remaining Vortex command ships opened fire. Energy beams lashed out, striking the Vindication from multiple angles. The ship trembled under the assault. All power to shields, Reed commanded. Evasive pattern Delta. The Vindication twisted away from the brunt of the attack, but not quickly enough. A powerful beam struck its port side, tearing through the weakened hull. Hull breach in sections 20 through 24, Blake reported. Emergency containment activated. Reed gripped the arms of his command chair as the ship shuddered again. Return fire, all remaining weapons. The Vindication fought back, its quantum cannons striking with precision despite the damage. Another Vortex command ship exploded, then a third. The human fleet pressed the attack, using the confusion to target the remaining Vortex vessels. Ship after ship exploded in the cold void of space. Admiral Wilson watched in awe as the impossible battleship, damaged but defiant, continued to fight. All ships, concentrate fire on the remaining command vessels. Follow the Vindication's lead. The battle raged for another hour, the most intense combat any human had ever experienced. But slowly, inevitably, the tide turned. The Vortex fleet, for the first time in the war, broke formation and began to retreat. On the Vindication's bridge, Reed watched the enemy ships flee. Victory had come at a heavy cost. The ship's systems were critically damaged, the power core barely stable. But as he looked at the faces of his crew, tired, injured, but alive, he knew it had been worth it. The impossible battleship had done what no one believed it could. It had given humanity a fighting chance. 1 month after the battle that changed the course of the war, Captain James Reeves stood before the Human Defense Council once again. The same large room, the same bright lights, but everything else had changed. Admiral Wilson sat at the center of the council table, his face more lined than Reed remembered. The war had aged them all. But there was something new in the Admiral's eyes when he looked at Reed. Respect. Captain Reed, Wilson began formally. This council has reviewed the reports of the Vindication's performance in combat against the Vortex Alliance. We have also examined the technical specifications of your vessel, which you were kind enough to provide. Reed stood straight, his hands clasped behind his back. The past month had been a blur of activity, repairing the Vindication, helping implement his technologies across the fleet, planning for the next phase of the war. He had barely slept. After careful consideration, Wilson continued, I find myself in the unusual position of admitting a grave error in judgment. A murmur ran through the council chamber. Admiral Wilson rarely admitted mistakes. Your ship was not impossible. It was revolutionary. And it may well have saved humanity from extinction. Wilson stood up. On behalf of the Human Defense Council, I formally reinstate you to full active duty with all honors and commendations. The Admiral extended his hand across the table. After a moment's hesitation, Reed stepped forward and shook it. Thank you, sir, Reed said simply. Wilson nodded, then turned to address the entire council. Captain Reed's designs have proven not only possible but essential to our continued survival. I propose an immediate allocation of resources to construct additional vessels based on the Vindication's specifications. The vote was unanimous. 3 hours later, Reed walked through the damaged but healing hull of the Vindication. Workers swarmed throughout the ship, repairing systems and installing upgrades based on lessons learned in battle. He found Lisa Morris in the core chamber, supervising adjustments to the containment field. So, she said without looking up from her work, I hear you're a hero now. Reed smiled. Apparently. Does that mean you'll be getting a fancy office back on Earth? Maybe a promotion. Admiral Wilson did offer me command of the new construction program. Lisa finally looked at him, her expression unreadable. And I told him I already have a command. Reed gestured to the ship around them. The Vindication isn't finished proving the impossible yet. A smile broke across Lisa's face. Good. The core wouldn't work properly without you around to worry about it. Blake approached them, carrying a tablet with new hull design specifications. Have you seen the latest from the fleet yards? They're already laying down keels for 2 more ships of our class. Reed examined the designs. They're making modifications. Improvements based on our battle data. Blake corrected him. The new smart alloy will be 30% more resilient. Reed nodded, satisfied. Humanity was doing what it did best. Learning, adapting, improving. The next generation of impossible ships would be even more formidable. Major Roberts found them in the mess hall later, sharing a rare moment of rest. He carried a data tablet with a serious expression. "Captain, we've received a transmission," Roberts said, placing the tablet on the table. "From the Vortex Alliance." Reed, Lisa, and Blake exchanged startled looks. In all the years of war, the Vortex had never attempted communication. "What does it say?" Reed asked. Roberts activated the tablet. A series of symbols appeared, followed by their translation. They're requesting a meeting. Not surrender, not terms, just talk. It's the first time they've ever reached out. "Because of the vindication," Lisa said softly. Reed nodded. "We've changed the equation. They no longer see us as primitive or weak." "What will you do?" Blake asked. Reed considered the question carefully. "We'll meet them, but from a position of strength, not fear." 2 days later, aboard a neutral station at the edge of the solar system, Reed represented humanity in the first-ever diplomatic contact with the Vortex Alliance. The alien delegate was tall and slender, with iridescent skin that shifted colors as it moved. Through a series of translation devices, Reed learned something surprising. The Vortex had never considered humans worthy of true attention before. They had seen Earth's technology as primitive, its defenses as weak. They had expected conquest, not resistance. The vindication had changed everything. A ship that could match their best vessels, with technologies they hadn't considered possible for humans to develop. It had forced them to reevaluate their understanding of humanity. "Your impossible ship," the Vortex delegate said through the translator, "has earned our respect. We do not wish to continue a costly war against an opponent worthy of alliance rather than conquest." It wasn't peace, not yet, but it was the beginning of something that had seemed as impossible as Reed's battleship once had: coexistence. 6 months later, Reed stood on the observation deck of the fully repaired Vindication, looking out at Earth below. The beautiful blue planet was safe, for now. The Vortex Alliance had withdrawn its forces as negotiations continued. Lisa Morris joined him by the viewport. "Penny for your thoughts, Captain." Reed smiled. "Just thinking about impossibilities." "Which ones?" "The ship, the peace talks, the fact that Admiral Wilson actually admitted he was wrong. All of it." Reed turned to face her. 2 years ago, I was laughed out of that council chamber. My designs were impossible. Victory against the Vortex was impossible. Peace was impossible. And now I wonder what other impossible things we might achieve." Lisa looked thoughtful. The Vortex delegate mentioned something about their faster-than-light technology having limitations we might be able to overcome. Another impossibility to tackle. Reed raised an eyebrow. "Why not? It's what we do best." Through the viewport, they could see a new ship taking shape in Earth's orbit, another Vindication-class vessel, but with improvements and refinements. Beyond it, more were under construction. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger, more unified, more innovative. From the doorway, Blake watched them with a smile. He'd just come from a meeting with engineers from 3 different star systems, all eager to contribute to the next generation of ships. Humanity's position in the galactic community had changed forever, all because one man had refused to accept that his battleship was impossible. Marcus Green joined Blake at the doorway. "Was it worth it?" the industrialist asked quietly. "All the risk, the resources, the laws we broke." Blake gestured toward Reed and Lisa as they planned their next impossible project. Beyond them, through the viewport, Earth shone blue and safe. "What do you think?" Blake replied. Green nodded slowly. "Worth every penny." On the bridge below them, Foster was showing Major Roberts the latest improvements to the ship's AI navigation system. Roberts had permanently transferred to the Vindication after the battle, becoming an essential part of the crew. "We're getting reports from the border outposts," Roberts told Reed when he returned to the bridge. "The Vortex are sharing some of their shield technology as a gesture of good faith." Reed nodded, taking his place in the command chair. Around him, his crew, once outcasts and rebels, now stood as heroes of humanity. "Where to next, Captain?" Lisa asked from her station. Reed smiled. "Let's find out what other impossibilities are waiting for us out there." The Vindication's engines hummed to life, the blue-purple glow illuminating the darkness of space. The impossible battleship and the impossible peace it had helped create were just the beginning.